Good morning. Today we're going to learn how to do area and circumference with circles. I have an activity I'm going to share with you. We're going to also learn how to tell the difference between area and circumference. You will also learn the difference between perimeter and circumference. You will also learn the difference between diameters and radiuses. And the last couple, here we go. Let me move this paper up for you. You'll also learn how the diameter plays a part in the circumference, and we'll also look at how to use the area and circumference formula. So here we go. Alrighty, my activity. I have a paper plate here, and I'm going to discuss area. So what does area mean to y'all? So stop the video and think about what that means, and compile all your answers. Alrighty, we're back to area. So what did you decide? Area takes up space, sure. Does it go around the edge? No, that's not area. I had lots of you telling me formulas, that's true, but what does area mean? What if I ask you, what did area mean in kindergarten? That's a good question. Great answers, great answers. So how about the word coloring? When you picked up the crayon and started coloring, you were doing area. So what would area look like with this paper plate? I will show you. What if I take this penny, and how would I prove area with that penny? Stop the video and answer that question. Alright, back to the video. So, what is your answers? Those are pretty good. Not bad. Did you think about taking that penny and filling the whole circle in with shapes of pennies? Certainly. So I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to catch up with y'all. So y'all too need to do the same thing. Take that penny and start drawing circles. How many? When the paper plate's full, you can stop. What's the size? The size of the penny. Here we go. I started the video for you, and so that's what it's going to start looking like. So before you finish, how many pennies do you think it's going to take? Write your guess on that paper somewhere, and then we'll see how well your guess is. Keep going. I'm getting closer. Keep going. Well, I got done, and that sure has a whole bunch of circles. So what did you learn about area? It's a lot of circles. It covers the complete surface. You're right. It takes up space, all the space. Now, if you count my circles, I'm going to be off. If you actually calibrated area versus counting my circles, I'm going to be off a little because I have some overlap on there and I have some spaces on there. It's a good estimation. It's not perfect, but you're using a penny. Why would you expect perfect? Alrighty, now you know what area is. A lot of work. Area. Lots of surface. Alright, what about circumference? What does that look like? Alrighty, I flip my plate back over. On the back side, I have area. On the front side, I took that indent and drew a circle around it. Now, I want to discuss circumference. What is circumference? Well, I hope it's not area. No, it's not. It doesn't even sound the same. So what you're going to do is you're going to first figure out diameter, and then you're going to figure out circumference. And so here we go. Lucky for me, I'm using a paper plate. So how do you find the center? I folded the paper plate in half. I took a pencil and marked that fold line, so now I have diameter. Now, diameter is the long line going through the center of that circle. Diameter. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that penny and you're going to lay it on the diameter. And it needs to be half on top, half on bottom of that line. So it needs to be pretty accurate. You're going to count how many pennies that goes across. You're going to draw them in. And in first probably would be my good guess is, what is your guess, you think? So think about that number too before you get started. Alrighty, let's get busy. Start drawing. Make sure that penny is half on top, half on bottom, best you can, with no overlap. Alrighty, again, I drew the diameter. I folded the paper plate in half. So now I laid my penny on that line. And then I've gotten, looks like to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7, so 6 1/2, 6 3/4 technicality. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with that penny, but I'm going to follow this black line, and we'll go all the way around it. So the question is, how many diameters makes that circle? We'll find out. Take that guess. Alrighty, so here's my paper plate. Pick my hippopotamus up here. So there's my paper plate, and I have 6 3/4 pennies across the diameter. And then I took my penny and went around that black circle, and I got 21 plus a little more. It was right there in pennies. So 6 times what's 21? 6 times 1 is 6. Nope, that won't work. 6 times 2. Yep, 12. 6 times 3. Getting close, 18. 6 times 4, 24. Okay. It's at least 3, but it's definitely not 4. So it's between 3 and 4. So if you want an estimation, the diameter goes around that circle a little more than 3 times. 3.14 times, actually. So it's like 3 and I think it's 1/7. I know it is. So there is your comparison of diameter versus circumference. Next question. So let's go look at those questions we've been working on. Number 1, it says you will learn the difference between area and circumference. Well, what is the difference? That's area. Circumference is that row of circles just around that circle. So there's a big difference. One's the distance around and one is the complete shape. Alrighty. Alright, what's the difference between perimeter and circumference? Well, what's perimeter? Distance around. Well, what's circumference? Distance around. So what's the difference? There is no difference. Trick question. So if you're not sure what circumference is, but you know what perimeter is, then you should know what circumference is. Circumference and perimeter are the same words. Just because this one applies to circles, this one applies to any shape, except probably circles. Alright, next question. You will learn the difference between diameter... Where'd it go? Diameter and radius. Well, let's look at that. I drew you some circles. Get back on the screen there. I drew a circle. I know it's not exactly perfect. Close enough. That's center, origin, same thing. And I drew you a long line all the way across. Same one I did with the paper folding of the paper plate. That long line is that long word. And that's just pretty straightforward. So what's radius? Maybe the other one. A short line is a short word. Pretty simple. I know. I like it too. What about that question? You will learn how the diameter plays a part in finding their circumference. Well, what did we discover? This diameter of like 6 pennies, 6 3/4. How many pennies went around it? Like 21. And then 6 times what is 21?
And 6 times 3 is kind of close to 21, so it takes about 3 of your diameters to go around that circle, and there's going to be just a little more left over, which creates 314. I want to do a couple examples for you for circumference with diameters, radiuses, and then I want to do area for you. So here we go. I want to look at question 3 right here. It's got a decimal, so I wanted to make sure I did a hard question for you. Those whole numbers shouldn't be that hard. So let's look at how you would do that. So how do you go about solving these formulas? Well, first thing you need to do is a formula. Now, that's a short line, so that's an R. So I need the, sorry, it's off screen, isn't it? I need the formula C equals 2 pi R. The reason I need 2 pi R is because I had an R. And that radius, remember, let me go back to that paper. That radius was 6.3. So I can put radius is 6.3, and those units are meters. So if that's true, you're going to need to substitute in some numbers here. Now, I like to estimate because I don't like to get it wrong. It's kind of crazy. It drives me nuts. So I'm going to estimate first, then I'm going to go back and do the real answer. So here we go. So C would stay C. 2, I think 2 is a nice number. Let's not change it. Pi, I'm going to round that to 3 for right now. And the radius is, it says 6.3. Now, we can call that 6. And 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. But here's my problem. If you take 314 and round it to 3, and you take 6.3 and round it to 6, both your numbers are rounded low. If you round them both low, your answer is way too low. I think you could have called that 7. If you call that 7, 6 times 7 is 42. So I want to say your answer is kind of in that zone between 36 and 42, and probably more toward 42 because 36 is way too low. Now this is an approximation, and I'll just mark that so I know what I'm doing. It's just kind of nice to have that I know where I'm supposed to be, especially when I get there. So I'm going to go back and do it the real way. So C equals 2 stays 2. Pi, how about 314 this time? Radius, how about 6.3? And so you're going to multiply those 3 numbers together. Now, you can't multiply 3 numbers at one time. You can do 2 numbers, and then when you get that answer, you multiply that to the third number. So you've got some options. You can multiply these 2 first, or the last one and the first one and the last one. So it's kind of your option. I'm going to work off the first 2 because I know 2 times 314 is 6.28. So I'm doing 6.28 times 6.3. And again, I do like my formula written. Now I need to multiply that. There's a couple of ways to multiply it. If you don't know anything about lattice, that'd be a great time to learn. So I'm going to build you a lattice box. Looks like a window. I would put 628 at the top, and I put 63 to the far right. Then I'm going to cut these windows in half diagonally. The line doesn't have to be straight. You just have to cut the boxes in half. There's more videos on this. Definitely have to practice it. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 6 is 36. 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, and that's 0, 6. And 6 times 3 is 18. You're going to add down those lines, so that's a 4. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is 16. Carry my 1 somewhere on that section. How about 8, 10, 14, 15? Carry that 1. 6, 7, 8, 9. 3. Well, the answer looks like 39,564. Unless, of course, you'd like to put a decimal in. Now, we said the answer was between 3642-ish. I'll put the ish for you because it's rounded. How about 39.564? So it's around $39.56. And those are meters. So there is a problem done with radius. Let's do a problem with diameter. Question 2. So what if we ask you to do we'll do question 14. The diameter is 8. So the diameter is 8 yards. And so I'm going to do C equals pi times D. C equals, I'm going to use rounded, 3. Diameter is 8. What's 8 times 3? 24. I'm going to tell you the answer is about 24 yards. And it should be more than 24, but it's somewhere around there. It's definitely not 100. And so we need to go back into the real answer. C equals 314 times 8. Remember, here's my C, here's my 314, and here's my 8. And so I need to do 314 times 8, and I'll just use regular multiplying. I know it's hard to do that some days. 8 times 4 is 32. Write down 2, carry my 3. 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry that 1. How about 24, 25? How about 2,512? Oh, well, I'm looking for 24, so how about 25.12? And those were yards. By estimating, I know where to put my decimal. Sure is nice. Alrighty, I'm going to do question 3 next. How about area of a circle? Now, if you go to your formula chart, you'll find area equals pi radius squared. I'm not a real big fan on radius squared. Lots of my kids multiply by 2, and that's wrong. So I tend to break it out a little farther. So how about area equals pi radius? How about apple pies are red, if you need help to remember? So let's pick a question with a radius. How about a radius of, I don't know, 7? So the radius is 7. So wouldn't that be, bring down the A? I want a 3 here for right now. Put a 7 down. And another 7. So what's 7 times 7? 49. 49 times 3? I don't know. Wouldn't that be like 50 times 3? That's 150. So it's around 150. If I'm rounding, remember you called that from 314 to 3, you rounded that. So if I called that 49 to 50, I don't think I'm off too much. It'll work. I know where I'm looking for. So let's go to the real answer. A equals 314 times 7 times 7. Now 7 times 7 is 49. We know that one. And then you need to do 49 times 314. And you do definitely need that either regular multiplying or that lattice box. So 314 times 49.